How's it going, everyone? Welcome to a Football for Fun video. I am Daniel, and welcome back to the quarterback rankings, my top 32 quarterbacks. In case you missed the last video, please feel free to check it out. But last video, we ranked the basically the bottom half of starting quarterbacks, starting from 32 all the way to number 17, and we are going to continue. There will be two more videos in the series. Today, we're going to be covering numbers 16 through 11. So these are going to be your sort of higher end starters, like mid to higher end, like mid to high-ish end starters. They're the kind of beginning of the sort of top half, like not really the top guys, but just guys that you can build around, guys you can win with, and things like that. And so that is going to be sort of what we go over. Before we do, I would love to ask if you enjoy this content, only if you enjoy it, that you like the video and that you hit that subscribe button. We just got over 100 subscribers the other day, and we're really trying to ramp up on those subscriber counts. I think we're hoping to get like somewhere between like 500 and 1,000 by the end of the year. So if you want to be one of the OGs, one of the original subscribers, feel free to hit that. Also, feel free to join our Discord. I will put links to those in the description. All right, with that said, let's go into our quarterback rankings. At number 16, so basically the middle of the pack, we had Aaron Rodgers at number 17. At number 16, we have Sam Darnold. Now, Sam Darnold is a very interesting case study. We all thought he sucked in like New York and Carolina, places like that. Don't forget, only a year ago, like a year and a half, I guess, ago, he was Brock Purdy's backup. I think a lot of people forget that he was the backup quarterback in San Francisco, which means that the league did not view him as a starter. And then obviously we all know that he had an MVP type season in Minnesota. Kevin O'Connell kind of saved him in a way. He had Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison to throw to, and so the rest was history. Well, you can say that in a positive or negative way because the way it ended was kind of not that great. I'm not really docking Flynn points necessarily for the ending. I think every quarterback has bad games in critical sort of playoff situations. I just kind of think the main reason I don't have him a lot higher is because, he was in a really good system. I think Kevin O'Connell, as you've heard me say, is one of the best coaches in the league, like top five ish. And he had, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison to throw to, Aaron Jones, I believe, right? He also had Aaron Jones at running back. So, pretty solid defense. So I think he had a lot to work with, which is kind of why I don't have him, maybe closer to like 12 or 10. It could be, it does remain to be seen. He could be on a Baker Mayfield type arc to where Baker Mayfield, everyone thought he sucked in Cleveland and Carolina, actually. But then, now he's kind of like solidified himself as a, well, we'll see where I have him ranked, but he is certainly higher than 16. So there is a chance that Sam Darnold could go a lot higher. I guess also the difference though between him and Baker is that Baker's done it consistently on the Bucks. Well, consistently, I guess he's only going to year 3 really with the Bucks. Whereas Sam Darnold switched teams. So he is now a Seattle Seahawk. So we will see. I mean, I think he still has a pretty good system over there. I mean, I think, what's the coach's name? I forgot. I'm sorry, our resident Mike McDonald. Thank you. Mike McDonald. He is a good coach. He has Jackson Smith and Jigba, Cooper Kupp to throw to. Good running back room. So it's not like he went from like Minnesota to like the Giants or the Browns or something like that. He's gonna have a pretty solid, supporting cast around him. So I do still think he is in a position to succeed, but it will kind of be it'll kind of show us like how good actually is Sam Darnold. I think we will sort of like figure that out. I think a lot of people also forget not that age really comes into play, but I'm actually curious. So I think if you ask most people, I think most people you just ask them like how old is Sam Darnold? If they have a second to answer, they'd be like 30 maybe, something like that. I'm pretty sure Sam Darnold's like 27. Let me check. Sam Darnold is 28. Okay, so well he actually turns. Oh, his birthday was a few days ago. So he just turned 28. So that's a year older than I thought. But the point kind of stands, which is that he's not even 30 yet. He's not going to be 30 for like 2 more years. And, if I'm kind of building a team around him, which again, I know for the quarterback rankings, this is about, this season, not necessarily the future. But if Sam Darnold's good, then the Vikings have a good quarterback for like 4 or 5 years. I mean, he can play well till at least like 33, 34. I mean, Geno Smith is 34, I think, and he's still playing pretty well. So I have Sam Darnold at 16. I do think there is potential for him to grow, but also if he sucks, then he could be kind of back into, like Backupville or like, low end starter land. But for now, I think 16 is a good spot for someone we have kind of uncertainties about. At number 15, Dak Prescott. So Dak Prescott is a very intriguing character in the NFL. I think he used to be really good for sure. I think he was definitely a top 10 quarterback in his heyday. I think a lot of people think he sucks. I think honestly, a lot of people are just kind of like just like to make fun of the Cowboys and put the blame on Dak. Um, I do think it's worth noting that Dak was hurt for a lot of the season last year, which again I do take injury into consideration because you do have to be there. But I am also kind of using this to play devil's advocate for him, which is that Dak Prescott, like the team didn't really suck necessarily because of him. Um, Maybe I should have looked this up earlier. I actually am curious like how he played statistically. I know the stats aren't going to say anything. Aren't going to say much necessarily. But he went 3-5, which isn't great. As a starter, 64% completion. 11 touchdowns, 8 picks. So he didn't even play great. So maybe he's not all that good necessarily, but he's only going to be 32 this season. So, and in this day and age, 32 you don't really consider like washed. He theoretically has 2 to 3 good years of good quarterback play left, and I think part of it is mostly like the reason why I might have him a little bit lower than he used to is not even necessarily that his playing abilities decreased, more that the league passed him up. Like, there's some quarterbacks coming up, I mean, I'll spoil them, not necessarily in order, but like Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, CJ Stroud, like they weren't even in the league 2 years ago. And then suddenly they're just kind of, they are all quarterbacks I would probably take ahead of Dak Prescott. There might be someone else I'm missing, but I mean, you kind of see what I'm saying. I think he's still a very solid quarterback. You can build a team around him, and he could also he can still win games. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. No, I mean, their coach Brian Schottenheimer is kind of someone I might have questions about, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Cowboys are kind of like back in like playoff contention, 9-10 wins. And I think Dak can really I think you can build around Dak. I don't think Dak can necessarily win a Super Bowl, but I think he's solid. Moving on to number 14, someone else who I think is just solid, Brock Purdy. Now, I think Brock Purdy, I think everyone kind of thinks he's in that like 12 to 14-ish range. I don't think anyone thinks he's really good like Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes or anything like that. Recently got extended by the Niners, which I think is smart. Now, maybe down the line, it's going to be kind of ridiculous because if Brock Purdy totally regresses, kind of like a Carson Wentz, where he had a few good years, got paid, and then just like wasn't all that good and got replaced by Jalen Hurts. But I think it's solid, and we've talked about the Brock Purdy contract on like previous shorts, maybe a video. I actually don't remember. I don't think we made a video necessarily, but we've talked about it on Football for Fun, and we think it's kind of a win-win, and that Brock Purdy didn't take all the money he absolutely could have. And the 49ers kind of just got their solid starting quarterback for years to come, which again, like, Brock Purdy, like, if you think that Brock Purdy, like isn't good enough, then none of the guys ahead of him are really available, I don't think, if I are going to be available in the near future. So I think Brock Purdy is someone just kind of like Dak, but just a little bit younger. You can kind of build around, and he has a lot of potential to grow. So we'll kind of see. I do think he's pretty limited, which kind of like hurts him. Like, I don't really think he can really. He could crack the top 10, I guess, but I don't think he's getting much farther. And then especially, you also have the fact of it, like, there will be other quarterbacks that surpass him. Like, could be Cam Ward this year. Actually, this year though, I actually know this draft class is kind of like eh. I mean, we'll see. For all we know, like Quinn Ewers could be, the next Brock Purdy, I guess, ironically, but probably not Shador, probably not Tyler Shuck, but next year there could be like, your Arch Mannings and like that Lenore Sellers guy. So there could be a lot of guys to pass him up, but I think he's gonna be, his career arc might be similar to that of Dak Prescott's, which is that he's always going to be very solid. I mean, you can go to NFC Championship and Super Bowl, Super Bowls with him, but he's in these playoff games for the most part. He's gonna kind of be like the second best quarterback on the field. So Purdy 14, I don't think most people will complain. Moving on to number 13, I have Bo Nix. Now, Bo Nix, I think, is up here for a little bit different reasons that like Dak and like Brock Purdy are here, which is that maybe right here, right now, he's just solid. But I do think he had a really good rookie campaign. He threw for 29 touchdowns in Sean Payton's offense. Didn't really have a lot to work with offensively. And I think if it weren't for Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix would have been like the bona fide sort of offensive rookie of the year. I think he just got surpassed a little bit by C.J. Stroud and Jaden Daniels, kind of the two most recent offensive rookies of the years. And yeah, no, I think Bo Nix is just really good. Has potential to be like maybe I would compare him to like a Justin Herbert type, to where he is one of the better quarterbacks, but it might be hard to like win the big games when you have Patrick Mahomes in your division. But I think Bo Nix has potential to be one of the better quarterbacks in the league, and then especially now again, I'm not taking system into consideration, but he does have Sean Payton, which really helps him. So we'll kind of see how that goes. Again, he was just a rookie last year, so anything could happen. He could shoot like a rocket ship. He could sort of regress and be a backup, or he could, which I think that's unlikely, but he that is a possibility, or he could just kind of stay in that 12, 13, 10, 11, 12 range. So a lot to see from Bo Nix. At number 12, I have Matthew Stafford. Now, I think my biggest question mark for Stafford is kind of his age, and kind of like, do I assume that he's just getting older and just is just gonna kind of fall off a cliff? I still think in this day and age, Matthew Stafford's a really good quarterback in the NFL. I mean, he went to the Rams and won a Super Bowl, which granted that was several years ago, so I'm not really trying to like take that into consideration. But he had a rough year, I guess, the year after, and then he's been solid, since. So Matthew Stafford's someone I think highly of. I think obviously we all know he was kind of screwed over by the Lions. He was seen as a really good quarterback, but couldn't quite sort of get his footing there as far as like winning playoff games and Super Bowls and things like that. And then goes to the Rams and immediately wins the Super Bowl. So it will sort of remain to be seen. Well, I feel like his career is for the most part written. I guess the question is he a Hall of Fame quarterback? Which I think he is. But he also does have a career losing record, which doesn't really help him. But honestly, I think if I were, this year, right here, right now, this is really about like ranking the quarterbacks where I would have them. Like if I were to like sort of build a team for a year around sort of these players. If I think about the players below him, like Bo Nix, Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, and even going back to like the whole like who was the thing? Oh yeah, Sam Darnold. Yeah, I think I would choose Matthew Stafford overall then, because he is a Super Bowl champion. I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers Super Bowl champion from like 15 years ago or whatever. Like he is a relatively recent Super Bowl champion. He has experience, and I know like his playing style. He's like he has a strong arm. He's gonna like take hits in the pocket and like things like that. He's really passionate. So I think 12 is an appropriate spot for Matthew Stafford. At number 11, and our last one of the video. This will probably be a shorter video because we have less sort of ranking spots, because the top 10 is going to be its own video than top 16. But at number 11, Jordan Love. Now, Jordan Love is really interesting. I think a lot of people think he's one of the better quarterbacks in the NFC, which I mean, at this point, he is. I mean, there are only a few more guys ahead of him, but if Jordan Love was gonna like break out as one of the best quarterbacks in the league, or like the Lamar, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow types, I think it would have happened by now. I think he's really solid, which I think solid might be a good way to kind of describe this set of quarterbacks. Is like you have the bottom feed, well, not bottom feeder necessarily, but the first video covered the bottom half. You have the solid guys, and you have the top 10 guys. As you can say, within the top 10, you have the elite, but whatever. But I think Jordan Love is pretty solid. I think he could be a little bit reckless with the ball sometimes, a little bit turnover prone, although I'd have to like check the stats to sort of like back it up. I don't know how many interceptions he has, but That's kind of been what I've heard and seen from Jordan Love, which is that he can be pretty erratic. Um, okay, so stats, 11 interceptions. So not, I mean that's an amount, but just not like he's not throwing like 17 picks or anything like that. Um, but yeah, no, I think Jordan Love's solid. But I just think if he were to gonna be elite, then it kind of would have shown by now. So those are my quarterback rankings, number 16 through 11. If you like this video, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And stay tuned for my top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL right here, right now, this season. All right. Peace.